Welcome back to Movie Flight. So we are discussing our second movie and the Shermer High School movie Flight. However, you don't have to watch these movies in any particular order because they're all standalone movies. We just happen to be watching them together. So the movie we are talking about today is 16 Candles, which came out in 1984. It is actually John Hughes' directorial debut. So this movie came out before The Breakfast Club, which we have already discussed. And we are supposed to look past the fact that Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall are both in 16 Candles, and they are both in The Breakfast Club, which theoretically all of those characters that they play in both movies attend Shermer High School, but we're supposed to just not think about that. Shermer High School is a fictitious high school set in fictitious Shermer, Illinois, which is where John Hughes liked to set most, if not all, of his movies. And believe it or not, I am not a big John Hughes super fan or anything like that. I was just thinking of back to school movies, and I thought of the fact that so many of his movies take place or have scenes in Shermer High School. And the only reason I know this is because one of my other passions in life is reading like a maniac. And in Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline, I believe, there's a whole thing about John Hughes movies, and specifically John Hughes movies that take place in Shermer High School. And it's a big part of that book, or a big part of a section of that book. So some of the things I knew about 16 Candles, I knew about from reading that book. Some of the things I knew about 16 Candles, I knew about from the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han, both the books and the Netflix series, because Laura Jean, I was like, oh my gosh, what's her name? Laura Jean is a huge fan of 16 Candles, and that comes up a few different times for a few different things that she wants to do or references in the books and movies. So that was all I knew about 16 Candles because I had never seen it. I always thought 16 Candles was legit a movie about a girl's 16th birthday party, not just her birthday. And I'm really glad that I came up with this idea for these movie flights because it allowed me to watch 16 Candles for the first time, and I flippin' loved it. I loved it so much. Couple of caveats. As I said in The Breakfast Club, things that are not okay to do in movies or say in movies today were still considered okay in 1984. There is terminology used in all of these movies that we would not use now. And there is the questionable character of Long Duck Dong. Is it racist? I feel as a privileged white woman that I am not really the person to say yes, it is, no, it's not. I feel like it's a little bit racist. However, Getty, who was the actor who portrayed him, loved that character. So, but let's just say that if you watch it, that part's a little questionable. So we have to, again, sort of look past that. But if you watch my video about The Breakfast Club, you know that I sort of went on a love affair about Molly Ringwald and her sheer perfection in The Breakfast Club. She's still adorable as all get out in 16 Candles, but she's not quite that same level for me as she was in The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is like the epitome of Molly Ringwald's perfection, and 16 Candles is just, we're almost there, but we haven't quite got there. And I think that's really appropriate because anyone remembering turning 16, especially if you did it in the 80s or the 90s, you didn't particularly feel all that perfect. You felt awkward and weird, and I think that's how she felt, and I think that she portrayed that very well. Just when she gets up out of bed and looks in the mirror and is like, yep, everything looks the same, like nothing changed. And this movie, even though his directorial debut, this I feel is more in tune with what you expect from a John Hughes movie, because it had that family chaotic element. She's in this house, she's got all of these siblings, and they're getting ready for her sister's wedding. It's her 16th birthday, and everybody in her house has completely forgotten about it. Nobody even says happy birthday to her. And then she's got the grandparents showing up, and her grandparents, oh my gosh, what a delight they were, especially when the grandmothers were making the breakfast the next morning, and the one is smoking the cigarette, and she's got like a legitimate inch of ash on the cigarette, and the other grandmother is like following her around with a spatula trying to catch it before it falls in the food. Oh my gosh, that was just amazing. And then when they're going to go to the wedding, and like everybody's just getting in and out of that car, and it's just like, oh my gosh, would you just get in the car? Like, you can feel the pain of those family moments, and I really appreciated that. Like, did not everybody feel awkward and like they were having the worst time ever, at least at some point in their teenage life? And this movie really is the epitome of that. Unfortunately for Claire, Samantha. Claire was her in Breakfast Club. Unfortunately for Sam, it's happening on her 16th birthday. All of these unfortunate things. She loses that survey, which, like, she was doing that right out in the open and like writing real big. No wonder you lost that. Anyway, all of these awkward things happening, and then you've got the geek, aka Ted, aka Anthony Michael Hall, who, oh my gosh, he's just so good. He starts off the movie being a little skeezy, and you're just like, all right, kid, like, step off, get away from Sam. She's having a crap day. It's her birthday, and like, leave her alone. And there was one point at the dance, and I'm just like, no, I can't deal with this kid. But they very quickly and very smartly changed him from being this creep into being a delight. He still had little creep tendencies here and there, but oh my gosh, so good. Especially when we get to Jake's house after the party, after he finds them was he in that table, that coffee table? Was he like literally in it, or was he under it? I think he was in it. Anyway, and they're in the kitchen. He's got like the apron on, and he's like making them martinis. And it's just like the most chill thing, and it is so hilarious because here you have Jake Ryan, who's like the coolest kid, the guy that all the girls want, and then you got this geek that like nobody wants, but yet he seems to have the airs about him like he thinks everybody wants him, and yet he still doesn't, but he does. And he's giving Jake Ryan advice, and Jake is like legit listening to it, and it's just the best role reversal, and it was just so smart. Oh my gosh. That dialogue between them in the kitchen, and then again in the garage when he's like, do you know what this is? This is a Rolls Royce. That whole thing was amazing. Now for a couple caveats. Jake Ryan, who really is like one of those characters that we just love to love. Why are you gonna go give your drunk, passed out sort of girlfriend to this guy you don't know and just like offer her up on a platter? Jake, that was not cool. That was not cool. It turned out okay in the end because she seemed happy about what went down in the end, but that wasn't cool. And then we had the other thing about teen movies that always like makes me cringe so much, and it would have made me cringe as a teen as well because I've been an old lady since the age of 12, and that is the lending of the parents' expensive car. Oh, just it's so painful to me because you always know that something terrible is going to happen. But on that note, when they're driving through downtown Shermer, Illinois, and Anthony Michael Hall's character turns to the camera and breaks that wall and says something like, "Now things are starting to get interesting," or whatever that line was, I was like, ooh. Like, was that the first time that somebody did that? Like, I don't know. Obviously, Ferris Bueller, which we'll be talking about in a couple of days, he talks to the camera constantly. But in this movie, that is the only time that that fourth wall is broken. And he looks right at the camera. I don't know. So good. So good. And then, so you're really kind of irritated with her whole family. Like, how did you forget her 16th birthday? Like, what kind of people are you? And I know I'm jumping all over the place chronologically in the movie, but that's just how my brain works. And then her father comes down and has that heart-to-heart with her. That was just such a wonderful, redeeming moment. And then they sort of talk about Jake Ryan and the whole thing. And then at the end, when she's going to go get in the car, and she's like, this is the boy. And he gives her like the thumbs up. Oh, that was so good. Oh gosh, that was so good. And we can all forgive Jake. We can't really forget him for sort of being a little bit like, go sexually assault my passed out girlfriend-ish. But anyway, we'll put that aside. When he shows up, he tries to do the right thing, and they break up amicably, and then he goes, and her family's left her at the church, and they drive, and then he's standing there, and he's, what are you doing here? I came to see you. You came to see me. Is that okay? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I understand why everybody was in love with Jake Ryan forever. I understand it. I understand it. I loved this movie so much. I wish I would have known how good it was or taken the time to watch it before now. I had seen Pretty in Pink before, and I wasn't hugely in love with Pretty in Pink, and I guess I sort of wrote this off as being the same as that. And maybe I need to go back and watch Pretty in Pink again, but oh my gosh, 16 Candles, I loved it so much. It might be my favorite of the four, but we still have two to talk about, so I'll save that for the recap of the whole flight. But 16 Candles, 1984, John Hughes' directorial debut. Anthony Michael Scott started off creepy, ended up fabulous, and I cannot not mention John and Joan Cusack, and especially Joan Cusack's reoccurring trying to drink with her apparatus on, and everything just, oh gosh, that was so good. And just to have that little tiny bit part in there, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. 16 Candles. I really liked it. I would love to hear what you think. Leave a comment, send me a message, send me an email, whatever, and let's continue the discussion. Next up, Ferris Bueller. I'll see you in a couple of days.